Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if it's not your first time here, thanks for coming back. So today we are going to talk about some palettes that are inspiring me for winter. Now, I don't always match my makeup to the season that is currently happening, but sometimes I'm feeling the vibe. Sometimes I'm feeling the current situation, and it is inspiring me to grab some palettes out of my collection that have been neglected for a little while. So I feel like with winter, I have a few different kind of sides of my personality. I have the like Christmas snow bunny. Only in my head, I don't like the snow or the cold. That's why I moved to Florida. But these palettes are about as close to the snow as I want to get. Then I've got the glam holiday look, like the sparkly shadows, the smoky eye, the very glam New Year's Eve Christmas type of look. And then I have the berries, the cranberries, those types of colors that I gravitate to during this time of year. So I have a bunch of palettes to talk about. This is gonna be a long one, so get a snack or a drink or whatever. And let's just get right to it. All of the palettes that I talk about today, I will link down in the description box below if they are still available. Some of them aren't, I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to give you like the vibe. How many times I'm gonna say vibe? I'm just trying to give you the inspo, so if you have any of these in your collection, pull them out, or if you have something similar to one of these, which I'm sure you do, pull them out of your collection and use them for this holiday and winter season. All right, so I'm gonna start off with the more obvious winter palettes, that are actually winter themed. So I have the Oden's Eye Christmas collection. So I have the Merry Christmas palette and I have the Christmas Eve palette. I've talked about these on my channel now a lot, so I don't have to go on and on, but the Merry Christmas is giving me Christmas, like straight up Christmas, reds, greens. I love this palette. Definitely the bottom two rows are my absolute favorite. These warm toned colors just give me life. They breathe into my soul. I like the greens up here. Some of these greens aren't my favorite tone of greens. I'm not a huge fan of like blue leaning greens like teals or aquas, which some of them are, but I still really love the looks that I've created with this palette. The quality is 100 out of 10 with this palette. You can't get it anymore, I'm sorry, but if you did buy it, you probably are gonna use it at this winter season. And then the Christmas Eve palette is actually the one I prefer of the two, surprisingly. This screams Snow Bunny, Ice Princess, like straight up. It is so beautiful. The multi-chrome gorgeous is one of my favorite shadows in my collection, period. The quality is unbelievable. I'm not much of a blue girl, and there are a couple of blues in here, but this is so much more than a blue palette. You can create so many beautiful cool tone looks, green looks, neutral looks, purple looks. You've got a lot of variety, and it's really unique and beautiful in my collection. And then I have two palettes from Nomad. And again, these are very wintry themed, okay? So this is the Santa's Village palette. This did just come out for this holiday season. It is no longer available. It was a limited edition release. But this palette is a 9-pan palette, and it's a very different type of palette than anything I have in my collection. The shimmers in this are very hard pressed. They're more of a toppery, sparkly situation. I like them. They're not my favorite shimmer shades I've ever used, and they're not my favorite from Nomad, but I still think that they serve a purpose in my collection for more of a just soft shimmer look to the lid. The mattes in this are okay. They're not my favorite. They kind of confuse me in terms of pairing them together, but on their own, like one matte shadow and one shimmer on the lid, I like using this palette like that. And so I will continue to use this for the holiday season. And then the Nomad Whistler Snow Lodge. I keep all the cartons on the Nomad palettes because I love them. I love their packaging, but it looks the same on the actual palette. And then this is definitely giving me Snow Bunny vibes. Like, this is me if I go skiing. I don't ski. I used to ski for years. I skied, but I don't ski anymore. I'm a ballroom dancer. If I break my leg, I'm screwed. So this is me like going on a ski trip, sitting in the lodge, drinking a hot chocolate, maybe a hot toddy, just sitting there in my cozies with my earmuffs and like a fuzzy blanket. That's me with this palette, with my makeup glammed out. That sounds like a great vacation to me, actually. But the quality of this palette is so good. Again, it is pretty blue heavy, which isn't my ultimate favorite thing, but I do appreciate blues this time of year for sure. The metallics in this are so beautiful, very buttery, very sparkly, and the mattes in this go from light to deep, and they're beautiful, and they blend wonderfully. Really, really good palette. And then another like wintry vibe, smoky, cool toned palette that I have been really using recently is the Unearthly Cosmetics In the Dark palette. This was the re-released version that they released a few months ago. This was their holiday release last year, but they re-released it with a new shimmer. I believe this was the new shimmer that used to be here and they moved it, something like that. I never had the original one. This is definitely giving me moody winter vibes. Just like the cover, you can see there's like a snowy Gothic building in the background. I think it's such a cool theme, and I really love the mattes in this. The mattes are so beautiful. I did create a couple of looks recently with this palette, and these darker like blues and purples can be scary because a lot of blues and purples don't blend very well, but these are very pigmented, but they also blend beautifully. I've fully enjoyed the looks I've created out of this. This metallic, which is called Illusion, is not my favorite. It's a little dry. It's not like super sparkly or metallic. There's more of a dryness to it. This Numinous shade is beautiful, but this shimmer, not my ultimate favorite, but the mattes in this are so good, and I'm definitely gonna be continuing to use this winter. And then I have a few palettes mixed in here that I have not even used yet. Story of my life. So this is one that I have not used yet. I actually bought it a long time ago from ColourPop and I haven't used it yet. But this is the time. It is very wintry to me personally. So this is the Baroque palette. I don't even think they make this anymore. If you have this in your collection, pull it out because I feel like this is perfect for that like wintry snow, kind of like an evil ice queen, right? It's not pastel-y, it's more like grayish blues, a little deeper, a little dustier, but it's definitely giving me winter vibes. This is a mostly matte palette with only 2 true metallics and 2 sequin shades, so mattes with shimmer in them. Oh, 3 sequin shades. So I'm really excited to use this. I've wanted this palette forever. So let me know your thoughts. If you have this palette, let me know if you like it or not, but I am definitely gonna create some looks with this winter. All right, now let's move on to the glam, like the holiday glam, New Year's Eve vibe. No, don't say vibe one more time, Rachel, just don't do it.
It's not the vibe, stop!
I can't talk about glam without talking about the Sultry palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the epitome of glam to me, and especially winter glam because it has mostly cool tones. You got this pop of like a pinky peach, and the shimmers in this are just so sparkly, so beautiful. You know, the typical Anastasia formula. The mattes are really pigmented. This is not really a beginner-friendly palette, as most of her palettes are, because they're so pigmented. Sometimes they're a bit dusty and they can kind of go everywhere. But if you are really careful and you build it up slowly, you can create some beautiful smoky glam looks with this. Again, it's not available anymore. Why? I don't know, but you can kind of catch it sometimes in TJ Maxx or Marshalls, so keep your eye out for it if you are interested. But if you have it, pull it out. This is the perfect time for it. A newer palette to my collection is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics All Done Up palette. Again, this is definitely a glam, more neutral leaning palette. Although there are pops of color in here, you can create a really pretty like greenish, more minty look, which I think is still very wintry. More cool tone glam over here, more warm tone over here, pinky glam, and then more like a true neutral. So I really love the variety of glam looks. The shimmers are extremely sparkly. That perfect New Year's Eve disco ball look. This one over here, Accentuate. Excuse me? Absolutely beautiful shimmers. They are a little messy, so you have to be careful. I would use a glitter glue or wet the brush or do your eyes first. But the shimmers in this are the best shimmers I think she's done, and the palette is screaming glam to me. Another very glam situation in my eyes is the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. So I have mine in the light version. The eyeshadows in this are so beautiful. It is definitely more of a neutral leaning look, which I think is timeless in terms of the season. Can wear a neutral look any time of year, or at least I feel like it fits with every season. These 2 metallics here are so incredibly sparkly. They are the most sparkly shades that I think Natasha Denona has ever done. They're so pretty. So pretty. They are very glam. And I really like the highlighter that's in the palette. I think it's super pretty, very wet looking over here. It's perfect for like a light or medium skin tone. This cream blush does dry out, so I have to kind of just warm it up with my finger. But once I have done that, I do really like the cream blush. I feel like I'm one of the only people, but I do like it because I have very oily skin, so it is a little bit of a drier formula, which I like. It ends up sticking to my cheeks a little bit easier. I feel like is perfect for the holidays. Another one from Natasha Denona, which is like a no-brainer. I'm sure everybody that's doing these types of videos is mentioning this palette, but this is the Glam palette from Natasha Denona. Yeah, I mean, this is a classic. Again, I feel like this is a timeless, not really screaming winter. It's not winter theme or anything, but I definitely gravitate towards these cool tone neutrals in the wintertime the most. They are very beautiful for a glam holiday look, Christmas, for New Year's, for going to the grocery store, let's be honest. And these are just foolproof. I feel like this is perfect for any level of makeup lover, a person who's just getting into makeup, who is really new to it. You really can't mess these shades up. The mattes are very blendable. They are very soft. The shimmers are really soft. Think of other adjectives, please. They're very smooth. Right? They're not chunky or overly glittery. They don't enhance texture. They're just very smooth, but they also give pretty good impact. They're not like barely there shimmers. So I really, honestly, don't reach for this palette a lot. I'll be honest with you. I know it's a lot of people's favorite Natasha Denona palette. It's not my favorite Natasha Denona palette, but I do gravitate towards it more during this time of year. And honestly, if you don't want to spend the price tag of that $69 on a palette, I feel like this one is just as good in my opinion. I like it. It's the That's Taupe palette from ColourPop. It's giving the same vibe. Obviously, you're not going to get the amount of variety that you get in the Natasha Denona, but for it being a 9-pan, I think they did a good job of creating a color story that goes well together, but also you can create a few different looks with it. I really love the shimmers in this. These are a little more sparkly, a little more piecey, a little more textured than the Natasha Denona ones. You do get one Super Shock. And then you have 5 different mattes that go from light to deep that are slightly varying in undertone. So I think this is a really, really good, cool toned, compact, affordable alternative to the Natasha Denona. It's not a dupe, obviously, but they are similar. Okay, and now we're going to like the smoky cranberry wines, the berries, like that. Yes. So let's start off with what I'm wearing on my eyes today. This is obviously not berry or cranberry, but it is smoky purple. This is the Viseart Petite Fours Violetta quad. I literally just got this in the mail last week and I've been using it. It is just this tiny little quad. This is my first time purchasing from Viseart. I bought this palette and I also bought one of their neutral mattes little palettes. I feel like this palette is perfect for traveling. I did bring this on a trip recently where I knew I was going to be going out to dinner and I just needed this for my nighttime look and I used some other neutrals for the daytime. So this is perfect if you want to pack something very small to get a smoky, purpley, beautiful look. There are 2 mattes, one that's more light, one that's more deep, which I appreciate. This one is a sequin, but I feel like when I put my brush in there and tap it off, the sparkle particles go away and it's basically a matte. Then there is this metallic black shade, which I didn't think I was going to love, but I love smudging this on my lower lash line or at my lash line at the top. And then this shimmer is so pretty. It is what I'm wearing in the center of my eye. I guess it is a duochrome. It shifts from like blue to purple, but it is very sparkly. I would definitely suggest using a glitter glue, wetting your brush, or doing your eyes first because it can kind of fall out. But the effect is sparkly yet refined, a little bit more elevated. It's not chunky. It's not super reflective, but just gives this gorgeous little, kind of reminds me of Nomad Santa's Village, the effect. This is a lot more powdery than the Nomad one, but absolutely stunning. I've been fully enjoying this. I'm definitely going to get good use out of this for the glam nighttime looks this winter. This is a palette I've only used once, so I want to continue to use this. This is the BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris palette. I've heard amazing things about this, but this is giving me that winter smoky nighttime purpley blue type of look, more cool toned. Like I said, I did use this once and I used this white metallic Louvre shade. Oh my gosh, absolutely stunning, very impactful, but I'm so excited to continue to use this. Have you used this? I know a lot of people love it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And by the way, as I'm going through these palettes, let me know your favorite palettes or things that are inspiring you for winter this year. All right, one of my favorite berry toned palettes in my collection is the Berries and Cream palette from Dominique Cosmetics. Now, I don't feel like all of her palettes are created equal. I feel like some of the palettes I've tried from her in the past, the quality has not been great, if I'm gonna be honest with you. But this one and the original Latte palette, I feel like are so good. They are very beginner friendly. The mattes blend very easily. They're buildable. And then the shimmers in this are really pretty. There are only 3 shimmers in this, these 3 down here. 1 sequin and the rest are mattes, which I prefer a matte heavy palette. Love this palette. I think you can create cool tone neutral looks, neutral looks, berry looks. You've even got a pop of blue. You've got a black. You've got a very, very pastel pink for the inner corner. I love this palette. I haven't used it in a while and I plan to pull it out for the winter this year. Another berry palette, I actually have not used this one yet, but I did pick this up on sale. This is the Berries from Juvia's Place. I love Juvia's Place. I think their quality is great. And this is a tiny little 6-pan compact berry palette. You've got varying tones, varying depths. You've got 2 shimmers and 4 mattes. And I think this is gonna be so perfect for like winter going into January and February. I love like around February during Valentine's Day, love picking up berry tones. They just give me like those like loving. What am I trying to say? They give me the Valentine's Day feels. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm excited to use this one. I have used a few other of their 6-pan palettes and I've really enjoyed the quality. So if this quality is the same, I know I'm gonna enjoy it. Another more smoky, purpley, cool tone palette that I picked up from TJ Maxx that I have not used yet is the 2000s Dance Remix from BH Cosmetics. You've got a row of a straight up neutral, which I love palettes that I can create neutral looks with, as well as more colorful looks. So I got it right here. And then I've got more cool tone neutrals up there and then a purple row here. So I think this is gonna be perfect for the season. I have not tried any of these series of palettes from BH Cosmetics, the Dance Remix palettes. If you have, let me know the quality, but from what I've heard, it's a really good quality series and it was only $9.99. How could I say no? And also my mom works at TJ Maxx, so I get even more of a discount. How can I say no? I can't. Fun fact, I also used to work at TJ Maxx a few years ago, and honestly, I had to quit because I was spending my entire paycheck there. All right, I've got a few more like berry toned palettes I want to talk about. So this is the ColourPop Orchid You Not. Guess what? I haven't used it yet. Shocker. So this one is definitely going to give me the similar vibes to what I've been talking about. Angelica Nyqvist raves about this palette, saying it's like one of the best ColourPop palettes ever. So I'm very excited. I have very high expectations and I love purple. I've been loving it more and more. I feel like it makes my green eyes pop. So I'm definitely gonna use this one. And then along the same lines, I have the Wine and Only palette. Guess what? I haven't used it yet. Shocking. So this is more like cranberry wine tones, more reddish tones, versus the Orchid You Not is more purple. But this is definitely giving me holiday, like Christmas vibes. Maybe I'll wear this on Christmas. I know, I'm very excited. I'm not usually a red eyeshadow person, but I have a feeling I'm gonna like this one. And yeah, I'm excited to try that. And then the last palette I wanna talk about is definitely more of a Valentine's leaning palette, but Valentine's Day is still in winter. But I can still see myself wearing this around the holidays. It is the Sleepover palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. I've only used this palette once, so I want to continue to use it. But it is more of like a pink leaning berry, but you've got this true like warm tone purple, you've got a dark brown, you've got a darker metallic, you've got this super pretty bright inner corner shade that's like a white to gold shifting shade. Super pretty. I would love that for my inner corner. So I'm definitely gonna use this for the winter season. I think it's a really pretty, really Valentine's Day palette, but overall just a pretty winter palette. All right, and that is it. Those are all the palettes that are inspiring me for winter this year. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What are your favorite wintertime palettes? Ones that you're pulling back out of your collection from the past, or ones that are new to your collection, or ones that you don't have that you want, or that you look at and you're inspired by for the winter season. I would love, love, love to know. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe before you leave. I do upload videos weekly, both beauty and fashion videos, and I would love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.